yeah, surprising but interesting conclusion from tonight's episode is that the 18 year. Welcome to the blind battle of the Glenallachies. I'm your host Sam, and this is Whiskey and SV. All right, going to be an exciting night tonight. I have finally managed to get my hands on the Glenallachie 18 year, which has been evading me for a very, very long time. And finally, I was able to actually pick this up from a UK website. A friend of mine was able to pick it up. It has some import sticker on the bottom of it, and yeah, it's interesting that there's probably something else here that was blacked out. I don't know exactly why, but yeah, these are 700 milliliter bottle. It was quite expensive. I think this came to almost $200 after everything. No, actually, this one was probably around $180. I actually saw it at a website briefly in the US, listed for about 180 plus taxes. So, for all intents and purposes, I think this is quite hard to find, quite hard to come by, and when you do find it, it's going to be around $200. So, quite an expensive one, and we'll see if it's actually any better than the other ones or worth it. The 15 year I've had for quite a while. I think this one was actually bottled in 2020, and I bought it about 3 years ago from Costco for around 80 something dollars. I think even Costco these days has this for more like $100. I've seen it at even a little over $100 at some places. Um, all of these have a pretty dark color. I've heard that they are getting even darker with time, especially the 12 year. So the third one here is the 12 year. Um, I've had this open for a while as well. I think this one is a 22 though. It's not as old as the other one. No, this is also a 21. So I've had this for quite a while as well. So a 2021 bottling, a 2020 bottling, and I believe this should be a 23. Yes, this one is 020623. So kind of different years, but in terms of their color, I think they're all kind of very similar. So I'm very curious to know, you're talking about $200, around, 100 or a little over $100, and around $60 to $70. Actually, these days it's going closer to $80, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, let's do the usual pours and half-ounce pours, and then we'll do a blind tasting to see if you can tell the difference and if you have any preferences. Um, I would be very curious to know if this is actually worth the extra cost, because and not just the cost, it was actually like evading me for a very, very long time. I was having a hard time uh, buying that particular whiskey for some reason. Okay, so number one is the 18 year. So yeah, I'm very curious to know how these turn out. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to start by this one first. As usual, I'm not going to taste them first. I'm just going to, I'm only going to smell them. And, or I should say, I'm only going to nose them. And yeah, let's see. Okay. Okay, very intense sherry. I mean, I think these are all basically sherry bombs because um, when I nose them, I immediately get this like prune juice, like actual sherry. I feel like I'm actually smelling sherry. It's like it's not subtle at all. It is what you call a sherry bomb. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like just dark berries, prunes, raisins, dried dark fruits, that kind of thing. Interesting. This one, definitely a lot less of those like dark sherry notes. Like this one, I feel like I'm just like actually like smelling sherry. I get some zesty notes in this as well, kind of like citrus. Yeah, definitely, it's a different. The sherry is not as, let's say, prominent. Still, of course, there, but I would maybe this would be on the borderline for what I would call a sherry bomb. This would be like firmly in the sherry bomb category. Yeah. Okay, and then last but not least, interesting. This is kind of somewhere in between the two, actually. So it's kind of hot here today, so I think the noses are affected quite a bit by that. By the way, just looking at how all of these are 46% non-chill filtered, all the good specs that we like they have age statement, they're not naturally color, they're they don't have any E51 or any other any other colorings in them. They are natural color and at cast strength. Sorry, at 46% ABV, which is the bare minimum with what you'd like. And they're very viscous. I mean, I see their legs, the dripping down the sides of than the glasses. Okay, so far, I mean, I don't know. I think I would say I described them, but let me think about like which one I like the best. I actually don't know. There's some minerality in this. This has something different to it. There's kind of like some fruity notes that kind of remind me of a wheated bourbon or something. Kind of strange. Yeah, there's like other than just prune juice and dark fruits and sherry, there's some additional like fruits in here in this that are very interesting. But by far the one that I think like brings out more of like the Glenallachies minerally kind of because I have a fun fact. I have a 26-year-old Glenallachies um, that from Hart Brothers that is I think I reviewed it on this channel before. Um, this particular bottling actually is I've sampled some of this away actually, but it's 55% cask strength, and it is this one was a bourbon cask, so you really get like the minerality and the core characteristics of Glenallachie from this one. It's very interesting, um, but yeah, I think if I think about the minerality that I get out of that, that's probably the one that comes across the most in this. Yeah, by far, and it's interesting. I like it. I have to say I like it. I would say there's no none of these are really bad, but I would say probably the middle one is my favorite. This one is, I feel, just like too one-dimensional on the nose, at least. It's just like very strong sherry. Okay, so let's get started. I'm gonna start by the super shade one. Yeah, um, just a sherry bomb through and through. Lots of syrupy cherry notes that just kind of coat your mouth and very sweet, but also like the type of sherry that has been aged. So what I like to think about is what it reminds me of, like if you leave, if you like pour water over prunes, like which are basically dried plums, right? And you leave it for a long time, and it kind of like yeah, is like that old dungy feel to it, um, but it's like kind of sweet and syrupy, and yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. Um, yeah, it's cool. It's definitely very nice. It's just I think it's just a little bit one dimensional, to be honest. Honestly, it reminds me a lot like the Costco 24 year, which is a strong, high quality sherry cask, but just yeah, there isn't a lot to explore. I feel maybe. Um, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so let's go to the second one. Yeah, it definitely is different. There's some floral aspects to this as well, like some perfumey things. Very interesting. Yeah, the sherry is more understated here. Um, there's some minerality that comes under the tongue as well, and yeah, it's definitely preferable to the first one for sure. I think yeah, I like this. It's complex. I think there's more to explore here for sure. Okay, let's try the third one. Yeah, again, this is very different than the other two. Keep in mind that also like the 18 year was just opened, so it's probably not a fair comparison. This has been open for like almost 3 years. This has been open for almost 2 years. So I think this has some bitterness to it. Feels like maybe oak. Um, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's kind of like number the second one, but just with like more oak bitters. Um, Actually, a significant amount of oak bitters. Let me go back to this. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I think I don't know which is which. I think like given how much, um, given that this is an older age statement, I wouldn't be surprised if this is like the oak that's kind of like taking over there a little bit. Okay, so if I was to make a guess right now, I would say probably the one-dimensional cherry bomb is the I would say probably this is a 12 year. Um, I would say this is probably the 15 year. That's my favorite. Um, yeah, and this is a close second, but definitely like a lot to explore here. But there is that slight bitter oak thing that comes out in this that I'm not a huge fan of. Yeah, there's definitely that. There's some effervescence as well. Okay, so yeah, if I was to guess, I would say 12, 15, and then 18. So let's reveal and see. All right, the first one is number one. So this is the 18. Oh wow, the 18 is the one-dimensional one. Oh wow, that's surprising. That's crazy. Okay, let's see what's number two. This is number two, so this is a 15 year. Very cool. And this is number three, so that's the 12. So I got the 12 and the 18 wrong. Um, that is very surprising. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that the 18 year that was so hard to find and is so expensive um, is just a cherry bomb. I mean, I think honestly, I would prefer the 10-year cast strength versions to all of these because they are the 10-year cast strengths are slightly more than the 12-year, and they are stellar. They're phenomenal. And I think if you're into bourbon, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't give the 10-year cast strength a try. Um, but yeah, that's for I guess for another episode. Join me next time, where I may or may not, put the 10-year cast strength up against something to compare. But yeah, surprising but interesting conclusion from tonight's episode is that the 18-year is definitely not worth the chase. Do yourself a favor and buy the 12 or the 15, which are pretty close. And I've heard the 12 is even getting better over time, as is the 15. I haven't tried the new versions of the 15, so I don't know. But yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. All right, have a good night and see you next time. Cheers.